What makes the House of Windsor so influential? Is it the wealth, the power, or the longevity of the family line? We find ourselves intrigued by this regal family, their triumphs and tribulations, their influence spanning continents and centuries. But to truly appreciate their impact, we must journey back to their beginnings, to the roots of the Windsor legacy. The House of Windsor, as we know it today, was born a little over a century ago. It was the year 1917, amidst the turmoil of the First World War, that the royal family rebranded from the House of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha to the distinctly British-sounding House of Windsor. A strategic move, you might say, to distance themselves from their German ancestry during a time of anti-German sentiment. But the Windsor name is more than just a label. It's a symbol of endurance, of adapting to an ever-changing world while maintaining an air of timeless tradition. It's a legacy carried by monarchs who have each left an indelible mark on the world stage, monarchs whose stories we'll delve into in this series. We'll explore the reign of George V, a king who navigated the shift from absolute monarchy to constitutional monarchy, and whose reign saw the end of the British Empire's golden age. We'll delve into the life of Edward VIII, a king who chose love over duty, sending shockwaves through the monarchy. We'll discuss George VI, the reluctant king who led the nation through the dark days of the Second World War. And last but not least, we'll celebrate the life and reign of Elizabeth II, the longest reigning monarch in British history, whose reign has seen unprecedented social change, and briefly explore the current reigning monarch, King Charles III. Through their achievements, their failures, and their controversies, these monarchs have shaped not only the House of Windsor, but the world at large. They've been both praised and criticised, loved and loathed, yet their influence remains undeniably potent. To understand the House of Windsor's influence, we must delve into the lives of its monarchs. So let's embark on this journey together. Our journey through the House of Windsor begins with George V, a man of great steadiness and duty. Born in the late 19th century, George Frederick Ernest Albert, better known as George V, ascended to the throne in 1910. He was a man of duty, a monarch who took his role seriously, and a leader who, despite the challenges of a rapidly changing world, managed to steer the British monarchy with a steady hand. During his reign, George V faced a world that was in flux. The Great War, or World War I as it is now known, was an unprecedented global conflict that shook the very foundations of society. It was a time of great uncertainty, and yet George V stood as a beacon of stability amidst the chaos. He visited the troops on the front line, bolstering their morale, and was a constant presence in the lives of his subjects back home. His dedication to his role as a monarch was unwavering, even in the face of such extraordinary circumstances. In addition to his role during the war, George V was instrumental in guiding the monarchy through a period of significant societal changes. The world was becoming more democratic, more socially aware, and the British monarchy had to adapt to survive. It was George V who made the pivotal decision to rebrand the royal family, changing its German-sounding name, House of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha, to the House of Windsor, a name that resonates with British identity. This change was more than just symbolic. It was a strategic move that helped to maintain the monarchy's relevance and connection with the British people. George V was also known for his efforts to modernise the monarchy. He was the first British monarch to make a Christmas broadcast, a tradition that continues to this day. This was a revolutionary move at the time, showcasing his understanding of the importance of communication and connection with his subjects. Despite his many achievements, George V's reign was not without controversy. His decision to deny asylum to his cousin, Tsar Nicholas II of Russia, and his family during the Russian Revolution, a decision that ultimately led to their execution, is still a point of contention among historians. However, when we look back on his reign, it's clear that George V was a monarch who, in the face of global conflict and societal upheaval, remained steadfast. He was a man who understood the weight of his duty and the importance of his role. He navigated the challenges of his time with a profound sense of responsibility and a commitment to his country. According to royal historian Ian Crofton, in the last years of George's life, his health was deteriorating due to a serious smoking habit. George spent his last years in anxiety, worried about his son and heir Edward, who was taking after his grandpapa both as Playboy prince and a seducer of married women. George was quoted as saying, "After I am dead, the boy will ruin himself in 12 months." George's Silver Jubilee in 1935 saw the expression of much popular affection for the old king, and in a royal radio broadcast he provided a modest, homely echo of Queen Elizabeth's golden speech of 1601. "I can only say to you, my very dear people, that the Queen and I thank you for the depths of our hearts for all the loyalty, and may I say so, the love with which this day and always you have surrounded us." Despite the tumultuous times, George V's reign was marked by a sense of duty and dedication to his country. His legacy, marked by his steadiness and commitment, set the tone for the House of Windsor, a legacy that continues to shape the British monarchy to this day. From a steadfast king, we move to a monarch whose reign was marked by controversy, Edward VIII. Born in 1894, Edward was the eldest son of George V and Queen Mary. He ascended to the throne in January of 1936, but his reign was to be one of the shortest in British history, lasting less than a year. Edward was a charismatic and popular figure. He was a modern monarch for a modern age, but his personal life would prove to be his downfall. Edward was in love with an American divorcee, Wallis Simpson. However, this relationship was not just frowned upon, it was a constitutional crisis in the making. The Church of England, of which the king was the head, did not permit remarriage after divorce if the former spouse was still alive. Wallis Simpson had not one, but two living ex-husbands. Edward's determination to marry Wallis led to a standoff with the British government, which opposed the union and threatened to resign en masse if it went ahead. Edward was left with a choice, the throne or his love for Wallis. In an unprecedented move, he chose love. On December 10th, 1936, in a radio broadcast heard around the world, Edward announced his abdication. He said, "I have found it impossible to carry the heavy burden of responsibility and to discharge my duties as king, as I would wish to do, without the help and support of the woman I love." The abdication was a constitutional earthquake. Never before had a British monarch voluntarily relinquished the throne. The shock waves were felt across the Commonwealth and indeed the world. Edward's decision was met with a mix of sympathy and scorn. Many admired his romantic dedication, while others saw his abdication as an abdication of duty. Edward and Wallis married in France in 1937, and he was given the title Duke of Windsor. But the couple was largely ostracised by the royal family and spent much of their lives abroad. Edward's abdication had far-reaching effects on the monarchy. His family never forgave him, as historian Crofton explains in his book. Immediately after the abdication, his mother, Queen Mary, exclaimed, "All this thrown away for that." 2 years later, she wrote him, "I do not think you have realised the shock which the attitude you took up caused your family and the whole nation. It seemed inconceivable to those who made such sacrifices during the war that you, as their king, refused a lesser sacrifice." His younger brother, the Duke of York, was thrust into the spotlight and became George VI. Unprepared and reluctant, George was nonetheless a king who would lead his country through the tumult of the Second World War and into a new age. Edward VIII's abdication sent shockwaves through the monarchy. His reign, though short, left an indelible mark on the House of Windsor and the course of British history. From the controversy of abdication, the crown passed to a man who was never meant to be king, George VI. Imagine being thrust into a spotlight you never sought, burdened with responsibility you never desired. This was the reality for George VI, a man who unexpectedly found himself at the helm of a nation on the brink of war. Born Albert Frederick Arthur George, he was known within the family as Bertie. He was not groomed for kingship. That was the destiny of his elder brother Edward. But destiny, as it often does, had other plans. Edward's abdication in 1936 shook the monarchy to its core, and Bertie, the second son, the shy one, the one with a stammer, was suddenly king. The weight of the crown rested heavy on his shoulders, and the eyes of the world were upon him. His ascension to the throne was not met with universal acceptance. He was seen as unprepared, ill-equipped for the task ahead. His stammer, which he struggled with from an early age, was viewed as a weakness. But George VI proved that strength comes not from the absence of weakness, but in overcoming it. With the help of speech therapist Lionel Logue, George worked tirelessly to manage his stammer. His broadcasts during the war years, though fraught with personal challenge, were a beacon of hope and resilience for a nation in turmoil. World War II thrust George VI into a new role, that of a wartime leader. He chose to stay in London during the Blitz, sharing the risks and dangers with his subjects. He and his wife, Queen Elizabeth, visited bombed areas, provided morale-boosting visits to troops and factories, and stood as symbols of defiance against the enemy. His leadership during these dark days solidified his place in the hearts of the British people. George VI was also a family man, devoted to his wife and two daughters, Elizabeth and Margaret. He recognised the importance of a stable family life, especially in the face of the uncertainty of war. His love for his family was evident, and he worked hard to provide them with a sense of normalcy amidst the chaos. Despite the hardships he faced, George VI served his country with grace and determination. His reign, though marred by war and personal struggles, was a testament to his resilience. He was the reluctant king, a man thrust into a role he never desired, yet he rose to the challenge with courage and determination. George VI's life was not an easy one. He faced challenges both personal and national, but he met them head-on, proving that strength is not the absence of weakness, but the courage to face it. Like his father, George was an active smoker, and by 1949 his health began to rapidly deteriorate. In March of 1949, he underwent an operation to remove a blood clot from his leg, and in September 1951, surgeons removed his left lung in an attempt to halt the spread of cancer. They were unsuccessful, and George died 5 months later at the age of 56. George VI's reign, though unexpected, was marked by courage and resilience in the face of adversity. From a reluctant king, we now turn to a queen who has made history, Queen Elizabeth II. Born on the 21st of April in the year 1926, she was never expected to ascend to the throne, but destiny had other plans. After the abdication of her uncle, King Edward VIII, and the untimely death of her father, King George VI, a young Elizabeth found herself crowned queen at the tender age of 25. Her reign, which began on the 6th of February 1952, has spanned 7 decades, making her the longest-serving head of state. She has witnessed the transformation of the world from post-war austerity to the digital age, and throughout it all, she has remained a constant, unifying presence. Queen Elizabeth II's reign is not just marked by its length. It's also been a period of considerable change and modernisation for the monarchy. Under her stewardship, the royal family has evolved to reflect the times. She is the first monarch to have sent an email, posted on social media, and even taken part in a live Google Hangout. These might seem like small feats, but they signify a willingness to adapt and connect with a new generation. Her reign has also seen significant constitutional changes. The Queen played a crucial role in the decolonisation of Africa and the Caribbean, overseeing the transition of many of her realms to independent nations within the Commonwealth. She has also worked to modernise the monarchy's image and make it more accessible to the public through initiatives like the annual Christmas broadcast and the opening of Buckingham Palace to visitors. Yet, like any public figure, Queen Elizabeth II's reign has not been without its controversies. Despite all the negative and positive shifts within the royal family, society and politics, Elizabeth managed to maintain stability in the monarchy, upholding traditions while also staying relevant and adapting to the modern world. From handling familial crises to dealing with political challenges, she has had her share of trials. But it's her steady hand and stoic demeanour that have helped her navigate these choppy waters. Despite the controversies and challenges, Queen Elizabeth II remains a respected figure both in Britain and around the world. She has dedicated her life to service, carrying out over 430,000 engagements since her ascension to the throne. Her commitment to duty, her resilience in the face of adversity, and her unwavering dedication to the people she serves are an inspiration to many. In essence, Queen Elizabeth II embodies the spirit of the House of Windsor, a spirit marked by service, duty, and an ability to adapt to changing times. Inheriting a monarchy deeply rooted in tradition, Elizabeth II, a modern queen, pushed for change and modernisation throughout her reign. From implementing new technology to her passions of raising awareness for social issues, the late Queen Elizabeth II exemplified the qualities of a modern monarch in an ever-changing world, passing these changes down to her son, and now King Charles III. King Charles III ascended the British throne on September 8, 2022, following the death of his mother, Queen Elizabeth II. His reign marks a continuation of the modern constitutional monarchy, emphasising service, continuity and stability. Charles III has prioritised addressing contemporary issues such as climate change, sustainability and social cohesion, reflecting his long-standing interests as Prince of Wales. His efforts to modernise the monarchy and maintain its relevance in a changing world are evident in his engagements and public statements. The King's reign also involves navigating the complexities of the Commonwealth and the evolving role of the British monarchy in global affairs. Celebrated for his extensive charitable work and commitment to sustainability, King Charles is also still scrutinised for his personal life and perceived traditionalism. King Charles's personal life, particularly his marriage to Princess Diana and controversial relationship with now Queen Camilla, has been a popular topic since the public found out of his affair with Camilla in 1992. The affair with Camilla was a major contribution to the breakdown of the marriage between King Charles and Diana. The subsequent media frenzy and Diana's popularity led to widespread public disapproval of Charles and Camilla. Their relationship symbolised infidelity and the challenges within the royal family, casting a shadow over Camilla and Charles's public image for many years. The negative outlook on them has significantly shifted since their marriage, due to several key factors. They have both been consistent in public service, Camilla's low-key and respectful approach, their affection toward one another, and eventual acceptance by the royal family. The current issues surrounding his son Harry and wife Meghan Markle have surprisingly helped the positive outlook of the royal family, though the issues surrounding his brother Andrew and how the public views King Charles in that regard are not clear. These familial issues present ongoing challenges for King Charles as he navigates his reign. The reign of King Charles is marked by a blend of traditional values and modern challenges. His lifelong dedication to environmental causes, charitable work, and efforts to modernise the monarchy have shaped his tenure. From George V to King Charles III, the House of Windsor has been a symbol of continuity and change. Over the years, these monarchs have navigated through the turbulent waters of change, each leaving their own distinct mark on the monarchy. George V, the steadfast monarch, was instrumental in shaping the House of Windsor during the tumultuous times of two world wars. Edward VIII, the king who abdicated, stirred controversy, leading to a constitutional crisis. George VI, the reluctant king, stepped up in a time of need, guiding Britain through the hardship of war. And Elizabeth II, the longest reigning monarch, has been a symbol of stability and continuity, her reign witnessing immense societal transformations. Each monarch, with their achievements and failures, their controversies and perceptions, has contributed to the rich tapestry of the House of Windsor. As we continue to watch the House of Windsor evolve, we are reminded of its enduring influence, a legacy carried by each monarch in their own unique way. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the House of Windsor. In the next episode of Royal Bloodlines, we go back to the beginning and dig up the roots of the kings and queens of England. From the reign of Alfred the Great, the first King of Wessex, to Harold II Godwinson, we will explore the Anglo-Saxons and Norse kings of England. Until next time, keep loving history and stay curious.